view, right? So I'll let you now go if you want to ask questions about Quran or Islam, or what do you want to say? Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why I'm not a Muslim
Okay.
is
Good.
because I've been dialoguing with Muslims. There are some Muslims I'm seeing in the live chat that are recognizing my name. And again,
Popular, yeah.
maybe you can be the one that can help me. Like maybe you can be the one that can finally like break through the barrier because I have genuine questions about the Quran.
Okay.
And for the last 6 months, I've been looking into the Quran. I finally read through the whole Quran. I've read through some, like at least 3 different translations in English. Obviously, I don't speak Arabic, so I'm faithfully looking at the various interpretations that's involved. I do look at whenever I have time the tafsirs involved with each ayah. So what I decided to do was now that I have basically a wealth of knowledge with respect to the Bible, with all that scholarship, flowing through my mind, I wanted to see what the Quran does from A to Z with respect to every biblical character. So from Adam all the way to Jesus. In other words, it's a thought experiment. What if I didn't have a Bible and I just asked the Quran to define for me what did Adam do? What did Moses do? All the way down to what did Jesus do? And then if the Quran, which it does appear in the Quran when it starts talking about the Torah and the Injil and so on, and I do hear Muslim argumentations about how apparently the Bible is corrupted, so you can't really trust it. Okay, so then when I look at the Quran and I look at how it defines all these biblical characters, for the sake of argument, what I want to do is I want to parallel them to Genesis down to Jesus, to see if there's any correlation. Now,
But
to my
again, you're
astonishment,
kind of reading the Quran with the Christian glasses there, because you're trying to start from the original sin to Jesus, which is the idea of Christianity. You're trying to read the Quran
no,
through
no,
that
no,
lens.
no, 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 no. I'm not doing any of that. It's literally a parallel. Here's Bible, here's Quran, and I'm seeing so Adam, what the happenings of Adam all the way down. So, for example, when Cain kills Abel, so Allah sends a raven, teaches him how to bury the corpse, and so then there's that particular story. All the way down to Jesus.
Story
What
starts
I
before
find,
that, but yeah,
yeah, I'm just throwing a random
I
example.
understand what you're
Abraham with the
saying. Yeah,
fire,
you're
right?
comparing and
Allah saves him.
contrasting. You're
Right.
comparing and contrasting. Okay,
Allah saves Abraham from the fire.
okay,
Jesus making a clay bird. All that stuff going down.
yes.
My astonishment is that there's zero correlation with the Bible. It's so you have the biblical story,
You're saying
everything that
zero
the Quran,
correlation.
yeah, everything that the Quran defines with respect to that character. So, for example, Abraham with the fire or the raven, all these like Adam in heaven, then sent to earth, Iblis told to prostrate to Adam. All these stories don't
But you're
appear in the
saying zero
Bible.
no, but you're saying zero correlation, and that's not true.
Yeah, so all these stories that you see in the Quran don't appear in the Bible. But I wanted to see then if they don't appear in the Bible, does this mean that the Bible is indeed corrupt? Because if they don't appear in the Bible and if the Quran is the truth, then
Don't tell
the
me you're
Bible
going to
must be
that
corrupt.
argument. Don't tell me you're going to that boring argument, please. Don't tell me you're
No,
gonna
but
try
then
a claim. Oh, these are from Apocrypha, and just because they're taken
so
from
but
Apocrypha,
then
Prophet Muhammad
well
took it from. Come on.
well
Look,
this
look,
is
I'm
this
10
is
steps ahead of this boring
but
argument.
wait
Please,
wait
like,
let me finish. I'll just quickly
go ahead.
finish. But
Finish. Okay, go
when
ahead.
I
Go ahead.
when I do then
Say
so
it
when
was
I don't
what
see
was
it
said
appear in the
already.
Bible, yeah, when
Hmm.
I don't see it in the Bible,
Okay.
so I have to wonder, does this appear anywhere else, or is it just unique to the Quran? But then I discover it's within the first 5 centuries of the Common Era. And then I have to wonder, wait, does the Quran think that the Bible is the Apocrypha and the Gnostic texts, and that the Bible that Christians use is the corruption of those apocryphal writings? That's part of a thought experiment. What's your thoughts?
Okay, as I said, it's the same. It's the same argument, right? My point is very simple. History recording certain events should be whatever who calls it apocrypha is just Christians who came later on who identified as apocrypha, which is completely useless for us from a Muslim point of view. This is history for us. History, whether that history happened or not, us confirming whether it happened or not is based whether the Quran is from God or not. So I don't care about what the Apocrypha says. I don't care what the Bible says. I look at the Quran as a scripture on its own. Does it have evidence? Why do I need to look at the Quran in the lens of Apocrypha or what the Bible says? To me, that's ridiculous. I look at it as its own scripture. The Quran is not saying to you, go research the Torah and the Gospel and the Old Testament and the Bible and Apocrypha and then come believe in me. Quran is saying, this is the book from God. Believe in this book. Take the book as it is. This book is sufficient for you. So that's what we're saying. We look at the Quran the way it is. We don't have this twisted idea that we need to prove the Quran through previous scriptures that existed. So for me, just because history records these things, it's just more evidence that these things happen. But why do I believe they happen? Is because I have independent evidence that the Quran is from God. I don't need to look at the Bible to begin. Bible is useless for me. I'm not from any offensive point of view. I'm saying from a Muslim point of view, right? I don't need it in any way, shape, or form. For me to believe in Islam, I did not need to look into the Bible at all. I did not need to look at it. I looked at Islam for what it is. I looked at the Bible way later on in Christian history and this and that to engage with other people. But for me to become a Muslim, it was enough the evidences of the Quran provides to show that this is from God. That's how I would answer what you just said. It's irrelevant what the Apocrypha says. It's irrelevant what the Old Testament says. What is relevant is does this scripture hold its own, has evidence that it's from God to begin with or not? If it does, and it can be proven to be from God, and I have evidence that Prophet Muhammad is a prophet of God, then I would accept whatever he says because I have evidence that he's a prophet of God.
All right. That response doesn't really convince me or help me. It doesn't, because it's the same answer I've heard from other Muslims when I've asked the same question. So, for example, since
But I'm not trying to convince you though. But go ahead. Yeah.
No. I know.
Yes,
I'm just laying out my cards, like.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I appreciate the cordial discord here.
No problem.
So notice that psychologically, being a scientist, I'm data driven. So I'm completely fine. So, for example, I'm just throwing a random example. When I look at, say, the Genesis story, this is even before I was a Christian. When I look at, say, geographical features with Eden's location, when I look at, say, the potential of where Noah's Ark lands, and all these descriptions and place names that are laid out, I can, with a fair knowledge of anthropological details of human migration and human evolution and all that stuff, I can do a fair, high accurate sort of pinpointing of Eden in the Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf must be the flooding event, like all that stuff. Even with Moses and the Exodus, I can point to, say, Ramses the Great, the 19th dynasty. I can point him to be the pharaoh based on the scholarship and, the Exodus account. But when I look at, then when the Quran says that the pharaoh drowned, that's a historical claim. But then when I go and investigate, hang on, but the Quran is silent on which dynasty it's talking about, which pharaoh is it talking about, and the pharaoh drowned, but no Egyptologist.
The Bible doesn't say either which pharaoh it is.
No, it says P. Ramses.
It doesn't describe the line.
It mentions the storehouses of P. Ramses in Exodus 1 and Exodus 2. With these.
Yeah, but Ramses, which Ramses of them refers the second? Which one?
Specifically, the storehouses specifically connected with Ramses the Great. To the 13th century BC view, or the 19th dynasty of Egypt. But the point is, the Bible doesn't even say the pharaoh drowned, and Egyptologists will say that Ramses the Great lived till the age of 90.
Is it Ramses the Second you're talking about, right? Ramses the Second. Okay. Yeah. My question to you: according to the Quran, the pharaoh claimed to be God. According to the Bible, there's no such evidence that he claimed to be God. Yeah. According to you now, using your reasoning, Apocrypha will be the source for whoever was authoring the Quran to bring this information, right? Because he's not taking it from the Bible, clearly, because the Bible doesn't say Ramses II was claiming to be God. Do you follow?
No. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying here.
I'm making an argument. I'm making a separate argument.
No. Wait, let me re-clarify my point. You have the stories in the biblical accounts that are contemporaneous with the events that's taking place. And so then obviously polemics are at play. And so then when scholars try and align historical details that are contemporaneous, like the stories that are running in say, so Joseph in Egypt, for example, and then Moses in Egypt, you're seeing it in real time and correlating that with Egyptian history. But then when the Quran comes on the scene and says the pharaoh drowned, that's an assertion that.
But that's the point I'm dealing with right now. That's the point I'm dealing with now. I'm giving you a separate argument.
Where in Egypt history do we know of a pharaoh drowning?
Again, I'm giving you a separate argument based on the same reasoning that you're making, but I don't think you're listening. I'm saying to you, the Quran claims that pharaoh of Moses claimed to be God. The Bible does not claim that pharaoh claimed to be God. I'm not just giving an example. It's a reality. The Quran does claim. Pharaoh in the Quran says, "Ana rabbukum al-a'la," I'm your Lord, the Most High. Do you know any other Lord? Do you know any other? Step by step. Look, you asserted right now. You asserted right now the Pharaoh was Ramses II, who was at the time of Moses, right? So let's take the idea. Let's accept that assumption, okay?
Yep.
Let's say that Ramses II was, so therefore, let's say Ramses II claimed to be God according to the Quranic tradition, right? According to the Bible, it doesn't say that. There's no apocrypha that says that, okay? That says that Ramses II claimed to be God. Question is, where would the Quran bring this information from? If it was looking and thinking that apocrypha was the true source, where does this information come from? Because it's not in the apocrypha. And you were just claiming that just because you found this information in the apocrypha, you're thinking the Quran taking information from the apocrypha. Now, if your reasoning is consistent, then this idea that Pharaoh claimed to be God should also be in the apocrypha. Another example, the Abraham worshipped, people of Abraham worshipped the sun and the moon and Venus, should be in the apocrypha, but it's not in the apocrypha. Okay, so these are all information.
Abraham worshipped?
No, not Abraham. People of Abraham worshipped sun and the three gods, sun and moon, and Ishtar, which was goddess of Venus, right? So according to the Quran, yeah, the Quran, chapter 6 of the Quran, chapter 6 of the Quran, it says that his people, he was debating with them about the moon and the sun and Venus, right? Point is this: these are all information not in the apocrypha. If your argument was actually consistent, then you would find all of these things in the apocrypha. But that is
in the apocrypha. That's in Jubilees.
Go ahead, show me which part of the apocrypha claims that Ramses Pharaoh claimed to be God.
No, when you mention about Abraham and the worshipping of the star deities with respect to that idol.
No, not star deities. Not star deities. Specifically, sun, moon, and Venus. Star, I know. It says generally stars, and his people worship stars. No. The Quran specifies, and it says the sun and the moon, which by many people were not considered stars or not viewed as stars in the past, anyways. So, according to your reasoning, the Quran should only have this extra information, should all be present in the apocrypha, according to you. If your reasoning is consistent.
Yeah, so this so try and marry this then to the question I'm raising. So
okay, I'm gonna listen. I'm not done. Wait, I'm not done though.
Okay. Finish your point. All right.
I'm not done with the argument. First is that you have to give me now an answer. An alternative is where is the source of these stories and information, since it's not found in the apocrypha.
I would disagree. The whole notion of Abraham being saved from the fire is precisely because
no. You're saying, look, what you're saying is few stories found in the apocrypha. Therefore, I'm going to say all of them taken from the apocrypha. You have to prove that all stories are taken from the apocrypha. Otherwise, you have to demonstrate which source brings this other information that are within the Quran, that are not within the Bible or the apocrypha. Because if Prophet Muhammad, as you claimed, was copying from the apocrypha, then all of the stories that are not in the Bible will be in the apocrypha that the Quran has, unless there is another source.
In the Quran, does Abraham destroy the idols?
Why are you moving away from my argument? You're not showing sincerity.
But those idols are correlated.
Rob,
those idols are correlated with those deities.
Rob, focus with me, please. Tell me about the two stories that we had, and then we can move into this argument. Where is the source of these stories, Rob? Data-driven, Rob. Where is the data coming from? Tell me.
I just said that those stories that you're seeing about Abraham and the star deity.
No. The two stories I mentioned. Look how you keep diverting, ignoring the points I'm
diverting.
Making. Look. My points was about sun, moon, and Venus, and about Pharaoh, Ramses II claiming to be God. Okay?
Yes. Now, so how does that make the Quran correct?
No. It shows your argument is not consistent, because if it were taken from the apocrypha, we would find these stories. You claim that in your mind, whoever was having these stories in the Quran, because they're not in the Bible, he must have taken them from a source. He thought the apocrypha was the original, and the Bible is a corruption of the apocrypha. That's what you said word for word. Yes. Therefore, he was taking this information from the apocrypha. But we just established this information in the Quran is extra biblical. It's not in the Bible, and it is not from the apocrypha, which shows that your reasoning is inconsistent.
So is it then okay? If that's the case with respect to those details,
no, but
then it's unique. It's specifically unique to the Quran then, based on that argument.
Excellent. Now, based on that, I'm going to make another argument. Would you agree that it's a significant thing that if Pharaoh claimed to be God, since the Bible is recording everything about what Pharaoh was doing, and you claim in dynasty as well and all of this stuff, it would record this magnificent event in which he was claiming to be God, if it was historically correct.
But that is a minor point, because if you have Pharaoh,
minor point that he claimed to be God.
Yes, that's a minor point
So
because
it would
Exodus
recording
7.
all the ridiculous details.
Allow me
Okay,
to respond.
go ahead.
Allow me
Go
to
ahead.
respond.
Go ahead.
In Exodus 7, verse 1, when you have God himself telling Moses that you're going to act like an Elohim with respect to Pharaoh,
Hmm.
this is why Egyptologists, again, make this connection with Ramses the Great. And it's not just Ramses the Great that claimed to be a god, it's all the pharaohs. Akhenaten would be
That's a
the
lie.
famous one that,
Okay.
that
Now
forces it
let me
down to a
correct let me
monotheistic faith.
historically correct
The,
you.
the
First,
point,
first,
the
first. No,
point
no, no,
here,
no, 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 no,
the
no, no.
po-
You're not gonna go that way. No, wait,
no,
wait.
no,
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 no, no, no.
no, 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 no,
The
no.
point
Wait.
here, the point here is the
Yeah.
drowning of the pharaoh. You have
No,
to
no, no,
deal with
no.
that
This
as a
is your
historical
point. I will
point.
deal with that. I will deal with that.
That
When
is my point.
No, but I'm shattering your premise. You're not understanding. You've built a whole big premise is that these are coming from the Apocrypha. I'm shattering the premise rather than dealing with every single story, which is a waste of time. I can shatter the whole premise, which is I've just done, to show that not the stories in the Quran are not taken from the Apocrypha. There are many stories that are not Apocrypha. That's the first thing. The second thing is to say that God said to Moses, "You will be Elohim." How did you correlate that with Elohim being Pharaoh, Pharaoh being Elohim, which is complete nonsense? God is saying, according to you, that Moses will be Elohim, not Pharaoh. Moses is the
No,
one who's going to be Elohim to the Pharaoh.
I didn't
No,
say
that's
that
what the
either.
Bible. No, no, no.
I didn't
That's
say
what
that
the.
either.
No, no. Look, what you said is
I
recorded. Right?
clarified to you that Exodus 7:1 is a polemic against Pharaoh claiming to be deity.
Okay, no. So you're saying that's not historically correct?
No, I'm saying that is
You're
historically
saying
valid.
did he claim or he didn't claim? Ramses II.
So I'm saying just the term Pharaoh is associated with deity, sort of like a deity status, and it's not unique to Ramses the
That's
Great.
not true. That's not true. The term Pharaoh, historically, in the period of Joseph, etc., was used for the temple, and later on it was used
Yeah,
for
the
the
house,
king.
the king of the house.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. No,
what the
is
term
the
means.
house of the king? You mean? Yeah, the house of the king. Yeah,
Yes.
it was used for that, and then it was used for the king. That doesn't mean God has nothing to do with God there, right? Point is this:
No, it has
the
everything to
Bible.
do with localizing the deity.
No, king
This is
and
why
deity are
this
two
is why
separate
you
things.
have this is why you have ziggurat
Excuse me.
structures that
No,
localize
no,
the
no.
deity in ancient Near Eastern worship.
King and deity are two separate things. Come on, be honest, Rob. Look,
No, the king
simply putting
represents
it.
the deity on his behalf. That's
Let me
why you
ask you
have
this. Okay, Rob,
language of sit at my right hand, I'll make
Rob,
the footstool your enemies.
I will show you why you're not being. I'll show you why you're not being sincere in a bit, right? Show me one Christian scholar, okay, that understood what you understood, that Pharaoh here refers to God and deity, and Pharaoh claimed to be God according to this understanding. Go ahead, show me historically.
So James Hoff. Okay, I can point.
No,
some names out.
after
James
Islam,
will
before
point it
Islam,
out.
before Islam.
Before Islam.
Yeah, because Islam makes that claim later on, so someone can take that to be a source. I'm saying without Islam, before Islam, can you find me someone historically that claims that? By the Jewish or Christian, because this had a very long time you had until Islam, until Prophet Muhammad came, right? Not Islam, because this is a different story. So until Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came, you had Jewish historians, right, who will understand better than you what Pharaoh means.
Do you see?
So show me. Can you show me? No, wait. Can you show me a Jewish historian that understood that Pharaoh, according to what you understand, Pharaoh there in the Bible, the commentaries of the Bible, means that the Pharaoh of Moses claimed to be God. Show me that. And by the way, before Ramses II, the pharaohs did not claim to be God, so that would be even inaccurate historically. The first Pharaoh.
I beg to differ because
I'll give you evidence.
I have friends, Egyptologist friends, who can
even
after this can review this and
argument
confirm.
Argument of my friend said it. Look, the Pharaoh that claimed
this
to be
is professionals in the field. This is those who are credentialed in the Egyptological field that will
when they review. Okay,
lay out. I'm not an Egyptologist, by the way, so I'm dealing with the scholarship I've read in regards to Egyptology.
Okay, let me answer you that.
Don't forget.
No,
notice
but I'm still making a point. 1 second.
Basically 20 minutes diverting away from my original question. That is,
no, I'm not done.
The Pharaoh being drowned is not a historical basis.
Can I finish my argument?
Okay, finish your argument, but then I want that answered.
No problem.
Because that's my contention.
No. I'll give you your answer, Rob, when you give me my answer. When you show me the consistent
criteria. You asked me a question about the Quran.
Rob, let's not start to interrupt one another.
A historical question.
Rob, let's not start to. We were having a nice discussion, not interrupting. So let's not start interrupting each other, right? So, again, Rob, I'm saying very simply, your argument, everyone is hearing what you said from the beginning. You claimed that the author of the Quran was taken from Apocrypha, thinking it's the original source. Therefore, all the stories, you have to be consistent. The stories that are extra biblical should all be present in the Apocrypha. If they are not, then your argument is false, because there has to be another source in which this information is coming from, and which you have to prove what the other source is, right? So now I'm dismantling this idea first. Okay, number one. Number two, which I've already, I believe, at this time. Number two, is historically correct that the Pharaoh, the second, Ramses the second, claimed to be God. And it's a very significant detail that the Quran mentions and the Bible fails to mention, which shows that the Quran is not copying from the Bible or from the Apocrypha, because this is a historical event that took place that we know today to be true, that the Quran records, while neither the Bible nor the Apocrypha records. Similarly, the idea of the people of Abraham worshipping the moon and the sun and Venus, this is something that the Quran records, that neither the Bible nor Apocrypha records, and it's historically accurate, which shows that the Quran is not taken from the Apocrypha, and it definitely not taken from the Bible, because these are all historical information that are not present in either of them. And if you were sincere, regardless of what happened to the sea and how Pharaoh died, you'll have to answer this point and accept that this was not the source of whoever was authoring the Quran, which is God.
Yeah, so I
don't think you're listening to argument, are you?
No, I was listening.
Okay.
I was listening. Okay. So I'm asserting that because notice you went from Pharaoh to Abraham, and you're going back and forth between these two examples.
Abraham was before.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even pick on Abraham. I'm choosing very specific granular examples with respect to Abraham.
Do you understand
what
I'm doing with you, Rob? I'm dealing with your argument. The argument is not just based on the idea of Moses.
You're trying to deal with my argument where I laid out that there's no correlation with the Bible. You're then responding back to me saying, but there's details in the Quran.
What was your original argument?
I'm steel manning your argument. Let me
No, you cannot change your argument. You cannot change your argument.
No, I'm steel manning your argument.
No. Look,
I'm paraphrasing your argument.
Rob,
I'm
Rob,
okay.
I'll let you,
allow me to paraphrase your argument so you can see I understood your question.
Rob, give me 1 second, please. Please leave my argument alone, because my argument is a response to your argument. I'm saying to you, what was the original argument you made?
Don't you want to know whether I've understood your argument or not?
No. I want you to say your argument first. What was your original argument? Before I responded to you, what was your original argument? And confirm with me.
Okay, so if I explain my original argument, can I then paraphrase your argument?
Yes.
Okay, my original argument is that when I look at these characters in the Quran and I correlate that with the Bible, there's no one-to-one correlation. The Quran has unique statements about these people, and the Bible has unique statements about these people. Obviously, the biblical corpus predates the Quran. So then the next question I have is, where is the Quran? If the Quran is a human work, where is the Quran getting these details from? I then notice parallels with the apocryphal sources, not the biblical sources. Your argument back to me is...
You didn't say that. You're changing your argument. You didn't say parallels. You said you found the stories in the Apocrypha in the beginning. While everything is recorded, you didn't say parallels. You said you found the stories in the Apocrypha.
It's exactly the argument I made. Within the first 5 centuries of the Common Era, the Quran only matches those particular stories that you see in the first 5 centuries of the Common Era.
Okay.
There's a parallelism taking place.
And then what did they do?
Your response to that is that you're saying, well, there are statements about these people in the Quran that don't match neither the Bible nor the apocryphal sources. That's your response. And then I
asked you what? And then what did I ask you?
So then you asked if there
is a source.
If there is a correlation, give me an example of a source.
No,
so
I didn't
say that. Yes, you did.
No, don't make an argument for me.
You're saying where is Ishtar worship? Where is Venus worship? Where is Pharaoh called God in the apocryphal sources?
Why are you strawmanning my argument? You think I'm sleeping here, right? Look, what are you doing? Look, Rob. Just be sincere. All I said to you is, if you claimed that the source was the Apocrypha, because these stories are found in the Apocrypha. I'm showing you, stories that are not in the Apocrypha, so you have to tell me what is the source of these stories.
But you can't.
Are they historically correct? Are they historically accurate? I'm asking a question. Are they historically accurate?
These apocryphal sources?
No. The 2 stories that I brought forward. The one about Pharaoh Ramses II claiming to be God, and the one about the people of Abraham worshipping the sun and the moon and Ishtar. Or you don't know even historically?
No, those the assertion that Abraham's people worship the star deities, that is true. There's nothing apocryphal about that.
Sorry, that Abraham worshipped?
Yeah, they're polytheists. They're pagan. They come from a polytheistic
Pagan.
framework.
I didn't say pagan. I said worshipping the sun and the moon and Ishtar specifically.
Yes. So in the ancient
Okay.
Near East, Abraham comes from a family of star worship.
Okay. So
people.
this
Yeah.
information, okay, so now we established this information historically accurate. By the way, we realized they're historically accurate after the death of Prophet Muhammad, way after the death of Prophet Muhammad, just like some information about the Egyptians after discovering
Yeah,
the
but
Rosetta
that's
Stone. The Rosetta Stone in 1899, etc., right? Or 1799, whatever it was, right? So that was way later after Prophet Muhammad. So these information are historically
but
accurate.
when is the Rosetta Stone
We discovered
dated?
them. The point I'm making to you, right? It was
No,
not
no, no.
discovered. It was not available.
Establish
No,
the
no,
date
no.
of the Rosetta Stone.
It was not discovered at the time of Prophet Muhammad. It was
Yeah.
not available.
But when was the Rosetta Stone made?
I don't think historians have an exact date on when it
We
was
do
made.
have an exact date of when it was made.
When we do, you're not one of them. They do. You know? What do you mean we do?
It was made in between the 2nd century BC and the 1st century BC, the Persian period.
Okay, but that's irrelevant to the argument.
Which, by the way, leads to my other question about Haman with respect to Pharaoh, because Haman is an anachronistic term that shouldn't be in a 19th dynastic period.
Okay, look, unless you answer my question, Rob, then we just go in circles. Where was the source of the information which was historically accurate that the Quran presents that are not biblical nor apocryphal? Simple question. Where did Prophet Muhammad والسلام, bring this information, which is historically accurate, but is not present in the Bible or the apocryphal scriptures?
The Bible mentions Abraham coming from a polytheistic background.
No, not polytheistic can be anything. I'm saying
Exodus account speaks about Pharaoh having a godlike status.
Okay, I'll let you go because you're not being sincere, Rob. I'll let you go because my question is very simple.
Okay, before you let me go, I'll answer my question. Was the Pharaoh drowned historically?
The Pharaoh was.
You can't just kick me out and.
I'm answering.
Okay, go for it.
I'm answering. The Pharaoh was drowned historically because the Quran.
What's the
says
evidence
so,
for that?
Quran, because the Quran says so, and I just established the Quran is not taking anything from the Apocrypha. So I look at it as a scripture on its own, and if it is from God, then whatever it says about history is correct. Just like it says about the people of Abraham worshipping these deities, and just like it says,
where you're going with this.
And just like it says, do you understand my argument? Finally, yeah, I just like it says.
I understand your argument. So your argument, here's your argument. Argument from silence. That's your argument.
No problem. You can say that.
So then it's a blind faith. You blindly believe that Pharaoh drowned.
By the way, there are
historical evidence for Pharaoh drowning.
There are historians who believe that. I believe like Morris Bukai, he wrote a whole book about this idea of Pharaoh drowning.
No, he was a fraud. He's been debunked by Egyptologists.
Not by me.
Egyptologists. No,
okay, no
Egyptologists in the field have debunked.
Look. I give you an example of someone who believed that. I don't use him as evidence. For me, the evidence is, as I said to you, the Quran is being from God. You claimed, oh no, it's taken from Apocrypha. I demonstrated 2 examples of 2 historically accurate events, which we did not know, or could have not known, because the information about Abraham, we discovered in the temple of Zukrit of Ur, the idea of the 3, the Nana, Shamash, and Ishtar, which was the names of the 3 gods that they worship, by the way, one symbolizing the sun, one symbolizing the moon, and one symbolizing Venus. We discovered that in that temple, and the Sumerian language was dead at the time of Prophet Muhammad anyway, so no one spoke it, and the temple was buried under the sand. He could not have accessed this information, which shows that the Quran is not copying from the Apocrypha, nor it's copying from the Bible, because there is this information that is historically accurate that it does not come from either both of them. Anyways, Rob,
so
pleasure talking
so
to
then
you.
the
We
fire,
spoke for a long time, Rob. We spoke
the
for a
fire
long
judgment. Is that an argument from silence too?
Same from fire judgment.
So that's an argument from silence.
Can you prove this type of punishment was not there? I believe
yes, I can.
I believe I even have historical, but
because when we go to Ur-Kasdim, when we look at the cuneiform, you're talking. I'm not.
No, Rob, give me 1 second. Look, this is my email because we've been talking for a very long time, right? Look,
all right.
This is my email regarding, because I kind of remember. I'm not sure, but I will confirm on the email. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That I do believe I have a historical source for even the burning. The people at time of Abraham used to use burning or stuff like that. Right? So this is my email. Yeah, just email me.
Sure.
Okay. And just ask me about it, and then inshallah, if I found it, because I believe I came across something like that, and I will give it to you.
Okay.
Right? But anyways, I'll let you go. It was nice talking to you. I appreciate the respectful discussion. I always appreciate respectful discussion. As long as they're respectful, I'm happy to talk to anyone, you know?
All right.
I'll let you go. Okay. No problem.